My wife thought I was cheating, so she cheated first. All because of a receipt she never even asked about. I thought you cheated, she said. Now I'm the one walking away. I found out my wife had an affair because of a crumpled piece of paper. A stupid little hotel receipt I forgot about, stuffed into my jacket pocket, buried under a pile of receipts from gas stations and sandwich shops. That scrap of paper was supposed to be part of a surprise. Instead, it burned my entire life down. Thing is, I didn't even notice it was missing until it was way too late. This story isn't about some soap opera-style cheating drama. No steamy scandals, no mystery woman, no double life. I didn't cheat. Never even crossed my mind. But that didn't stop my wife from deciding I did, and from making a choice that I still can't fully wrap my head around. We'd been together for 5 years. Married for 4. It wasn't perfect, what marriage is. We had our disagreements. She liked to plan things down to the minute. I liked to be more spontaneous. She was into budgeting apps. I was the check the balance and hope type. But we made it work. At least, I thought we did. About a month before everything happened, I started planning a weekend getaway for our anniversary. Something quiet and romantic, just us. Nothing huge or flashy, just a night in a boutique hotel downtown. Something cozy, with a skyline view, a spa tub, and room service. I booked it early, paid in advance. The receipt was printed at the hotel front desk and handed to me when I went in person to confirm everything. I was excited, nervous, even. I'd planned a little handwritten letter, candles, music, cheesy stuff, but meaningful. I'd even reserved her favorite bottle of wine to be delivered to the room at sunset. It was going to be a reset for us, a chance to slow down, reconnect. She'd been stressed with work lately, distant even. Not cold, just off. I chalked it up to burnout. Figured this getaway would bring her back from whatever fog she was in. Turns out, I completely misread the situation. The week leading up to our anniversary, she was quiet. Barely looked at me some nights. Kept her phone face down on the counter or buried in her purse. I thought maybe she had a rough day. I didn't press. She was allowed to have off days. One night, I came home from work late. My jacket was draped over the couch where I left it that morning. She was sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling through her phone, just silently scrolling. She didn't look up when I walked in. Just asked if I was hungry, which felt off, because usually she'd greet me with a smile or a hug. I told her no, and I remember seeing my jacket folded differently than how I left it. Didn't think much of it at the time, but now I know that was the night she found the receipt. She didn't say anything, didn't ask a single question. No confrontation. No what is this? Or who were you with? She kept it all in, let it boil. And then, a few days later, she made her move. Our anniversary came. I checked in early to decorate the room. I had flowers, her favorite snacks, candles I wasn't even sure I was allowed to light in a hotel, and I changed into a dress shirt I hadn't worn in years. I even brought a playlist of songs we used to listen to on our road trips. I texted her the room number, told her I had a surprise. She replied, "On my way." So I waited. Minutes passed, then an hour, then 2. No texts, no calls. I started to get that sinking feeling, like you miss something important and can't figure out what it is. I called her, straight to voicemail. I ordered the wine anyway, drank half the bottle alone. Then I went home, early in the morning, maybe 2 a.m. When I walked into the house, it was dark and quiet. Her purse was in its usual spot, shoes by the door. I figured she was asleep. Then I saw her phone buzzing on the nightstand. Normally, I'd never touch it. Never needed to. We had our privacy, our boundaries. But something in my gut told me something was off. I looked at the screen. There was a message preview that just said, "Don't feel bad." He started it. "I'm just doing what he deserves." And right underneath, "Can I see you again tomorrow?" My heart didn't race. It just kind of stopped. Everything in my body just paused. It didn't take much digging after that. A few swipes, a few open messages, and suddenly I was reading every detail of the past few days. The meetup, the drinks, the hotel, the excuses, the kicker. The guy wasn't some stranger. He was a coworker. Some guy she always said was annoying but harmless. Some guy I never worried about because, frankly, I trusted her. She thought I cheated, and instead of asking me, talking to me, she went and did it herself. And then justified it. That hotel room I booked, that romantic letter I wrote, that playlist I spent 2 hours putting together, it all became a waste of time in her mind the moment she saw a hotel receipt with my name on it and jumped to the worst conclusion. But what broke me wasn't that she didn't trust me. It was how fast she turned on me. Like there wasn't even a second of doubt in her head. Like she wanted me to be the villain just so she could do what she wanted without guilt. I didn't wake her that night. I didn't throw things or scream or storm out. I just sat in the living room, in silence, reading those texts over and over again, trying to make sense of how we got here. And the craziest part? She still had no idea I knew. Not yet. But I wasn't going to confront her. Not right away. I had other plans. Because if she was going to ruin this marriage over a hotel receipt, I was going to show her exactly what a real betrayal looks like. If I'm being honest, I didn't sleep that night. I sat there on the living room couch until the sun came up, staring into the dark like an idiot. I kept rereading those messages, trying to figure out when it all started. How long she'd been talking to him. Whether this was just a one-time thing, or if she'd been sneaking around behind my back for weeks. Her phone buzzed again around 3:17 a.m. Another message from him. Tonight was incredible. I can't stop thinking about it. That one hit harder than the rest. I wasn't just humiliated. I felt like someone had cut open my chest and poured ice water inside. The kind of cold you don't shiver through. The kind that just sits there and numbs everything. I put her phone back exactly where I found it. I didn't want her to know I saw anything. Not yet. Not until I had everything figured out. And more importantly, not until I decided what I wanted to do about it. She came into the kitchen the next morning like nothing happened. Hair in a messy bun, hoodie on, yawning like it was just another Sunday. She smiled at me. Actually smiled. Kissed me on the cheek. Asked if I wanted eggs. I played along. Told her I had a headache. She said, "You stayed out late." I said, "Yeah, just needed some air." She nodded like that explained everything. It made me sick. She didn't even seem guilty. No sign of it. No nerves. No guilt in her eyes. Nothing. Either she was the world's best actress, or she had already convinced herself she was the victim here. I think that's what really messed with my head. She thought I cheated on her. She found that receipt, and instead of talking to me, she decided it meant I was sleeping around. And rather than ask, or bring it up, or even fight about it, she went out and did it herself. And now, standing there in my kitchen, eating toast with avocado like we were still us, I realized something. She didn't miss me. She didn't regret it. She thought I deserved it. That day, while she went to a yoga class, I drove back to the hotel. Not the one she went to with him, the one I had booked for us. The one with the skyline view and the bottle of wine still half full in the ice bucket. The room was still open. I had booked it for 2 nights, just in case we wanted to stay longer. It felt like walking into a graveyard. The candles were still in the bag. The handwritten letter was still tucked under the pillow. And the playlist I made was still sitting on the little Bluetooth speaker I'd brought from home. I played it anyway. Stood there in that empty room, listening to songs that used to make us sing in the car like idiots, songs we danced to in our living room at midnight on New Year's Eve. And I cried. Not loud, not ugly, just silent, bitter tears while the music played in the background. I hadn't cried in years. But this time, I didn't stop myself. That room was supposed to be the start of a new chapter. I had even printed out an old photo of us from the first trip we ever took together, where we looked so young and happy and completely in sync. I was going to give it to her with the letter, tell her I missed us, that I wanted to find our rhythm again, that I still loved her more than anything. Now that same photo felt like someone else's life. I packed up everything and left. Drove back home. Didn't say much when I got in. She was sitting on the couch watching a reality show. Asked if I wanted to order Thai. I nodded. Didn't look her in the eye. I kept the letter, though. Slid it into the drawer in my nightstand, under the old birthday cards and receipts I never got around to throwing away. That letter was never going to see the light of day, but I wasn't ready to destroy it either. It was proof, not of how much I loved her, but of how far I'd fallen. For the next couple of days, I pretended everything was fine. Woke up, went to work, smiled when she asked how my day was. I even laughed at her jokes, because I wanted to see how long it would take before she cracked. Spoiler, she didn't. She got comfortable, relaxed, started humming around the house again. She thought she got away with it. She didn't know I'd seen the texts. She didn't know I was tracking her location on my old phone. She didn't know that while she was working late, I was following the little blue dot on the map straight to his apartment complex. She was careful, didn't leave a paper trail, took showers as soon as she got home. But she was still seeing him. Not every day, but enough. I knew I couldn't keep this act up forever. I wasn't built for long games or drawn-out revenge plots. But I also couldn't just confront her. Not yet. She wanted to punish me for something I didn't do. She thought she had the moral high ground. So I was going to give her a choice. I was going to confront her with everything. Every message, every screenshot, every lie she told. But not with anger. I wanted her to see what she threw away. The hotel room. The letter. The trust. I wanted her to realize, in one moment, that she didn't just cheat on me. She destroyed something she'd never be able to rebuild. And I wanted her to feel what I felt that night in the hotel room. Alone. Sick to your stomach. And completely, utterly hollow inside. I don't know what's worse, being betrayed, or watching the person who betrayed you walk around like nothing happened. Like they didn't break something permanent. For the next week, she acted completely normal. Sweeter, even. Like she was trying to make up for something. Not in an obvious way. She didn't go full guilty puppy mode. But little things stood out. She'd come home early and want to cook dinner together. She'd ask about my day more than usual. She laughed a little harder at my jokes. Tried to initiate things in bed when we'd barely touched each other for months. And I knew exactly why. Because whatever she did with that guy, the affair, the one-night thing, whatever she called it in her head, it was done. The box had been checked. She got her revenge for the cheating I didn't do. So now, in her mind, we were even. Time to get things back on track. Except the scoreboard she was keeping didn't exist. Because I didn't cheat. I was planning an anniversary getaway. She slept with someone to even the score. And I was still stuck pretending I didn't know. The guy she slept with? His name was Matt. I remembered him vaguely from her work events. He was part of her office team. Ran one of the marketing accounts or something. He wasn't important in my mind until he was. She used to call him annoying. Said he had a weird laugh. That he told stories no one cared about in meetings. The kind of guy who leaned over your shoulder to look at your screen even though no one asked. I didn't think twice about him. Why would I? Turns out, she did. According to her messages, it started off harmless. A few after-hours conversations. Jokes. Vents. She told him we were drifting apart. That I was probably seeing someone else. That I'd been acting weird. Quiet. Distant. The worst part? She used that hotel receipt as her big proof. She even sent him a photo of it. And in the text underneath, she wrote, "Guess I don't have to feel guilty anymore." He responded with a heart emoji. Said something like, "He doesn't deserve you." I'll admit it. That one almost made me put my fist through a wall. I didn't. Instead, I saved everything. Every text, every timestamp, every little whisper of this secret they thought I'd never find out about. I made copies. Backups. Printed versions in a folder. Screenshots saved to the cloud. Not because I planned to expose her to the world. I wasn't going to post it online or drag her name through the mud. I just wanted to look her in the eye when I laid it all out. And I wanted her to know, without a single doubt, that I saw everything. I started watching her closely, studying her like a stranger in my own house. Every movement, every change in tone. I noticed the way she flinched when her phone lit up. The way she smiled at certain messages then pretended it was just a work thing. I started to count how often she lied to me, casually. "Oh, I'm working late. I'm getting drinks with Sarah. We're just having a quick dinner." Lie, lie, lie. I even followed her once. Said I was going to the gym, but looped back around and tailed her car through back roads to some half-hidden parking lot behind a restaurant. And there he was, Matt, sitting across from her at a small outdoor table, leaning in, laughing that same awkward laugh I'd heard once before. She touched his wrist when she talked, smiled at him like I didn't exist. They didn't kiss. Nothing obvious. But it was the kind of body language you recognize after years with someone. The small touches, the shared glances, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear, the way he looked at her like she was already his. They were still seeing each other, even after getting it out of her system, even after I didn't cheat. I could have walked up right then, said something, confronted them in public. But that would have been emotional, reactive, messy. I didn't want messy. I wanted clean, sharp, precise. I wanted her to sit in the wreckage of what she'd done, not because I shouted her down, but because I calmly held up the mirror and let her see every single crack in it. So I waited. I gave her more rope. Let her feel safe. Let her build a fake little narrative where she fixed our marriage and moved past my betrayal. Let her hang herself with the story she created. And every day I planned. I rehearsed what I'd say, how I'd sit, what I'd show her first, how I'd lay the folder down on the table without a single word, How I wouldn't raise my voice, or cry, or even ask why. Because she already gave me the answer. She wanted to hurt me. She assumed the worst about me with zero proof, and used that as her ticket to do what she really wanted to do anyway. And now, she was back in our home, eating my food, sleeping in our bed, laughing with that man behind my back, like nothing happened. But she didn't realize the game was almost over, and I had every single piece in place. She walked through the door laughing. That was the first thing I noticed. Hair tied back, jacket slung over one arm, purse half open. She was on the phone with someone, probably her sister, maybe a friend, laughing about something dumb, like parking or a rude cashier. I was sitting at the kitchen table. The lights were low, just one lamp on. No TV, no music, nothing, just me and the folder. She didn't see it at first. She walked past me, said, "Hey babe," like it was any other Tuesday night. I didn't answer. She paused halfway to the bedroom, looked over at me, tilted her head. "You okay?" That was the moment everything started to shift. She could feel it, even before I said a word. Something was off. The air was heavy. Still, I motioned to the chair across from me. "Sit down." Her smile faded a little. She tried to laugh it off. Said, "You're being weird," but she sat. She pulled out the chair slowly, like she wasn't sure what this was. She noticed the folder right away. I didn't slam it on the table. I didn't toss it dramatically. It was just there, closed, sitting like it had been waiting longer than I had. She glanced at it, then back at me. "What's that?" "You can open it." She hesitated. Her fingers hovered over the flap for a second. Then she opened it. The first page was a screenshot. A text thread. Hers and Matt's. The night of our anniversary. The message where she told him she finally did it. That I deserved it. The one where he replied, "Next time at my place?" She didn't flip to the next page. Not right away. She just stared at it. I didn't say anything. Didn't move. I let the silence do the heavy lifting. Eventually, she flipped through the rest. More screenshots. Photos of her car parked in front of his building. Their dinner date. The yoga class that wasn't. The deeper she got, the smaller she looked in that chair. No more confidence. No defense. Just that slow unraveling of a person realizing they aren't the victim in the story they've been telling. She tried to speak once, opened her mouth, then closed it. I waited. When she finally spoke, it was quiet. "How long have you known?" "A while." She nodded slowly, like her brain was still catching up. Then, softly, "Why didn't you say anything?" I looked at her. Really looked at her. This person I used to love so deeply, I planned a handwritten letter and a candlelit evening just to remind her of it. I said, "Because I wanted you to show me who you really are." She looked down. I think that hit harder than anything else I could have said. No anger. No screaming. Just the truth. Straight down the center. "You found a receipt," I said. "That's all it took. One piece of paper you didn't understand. And you didn't ask me. You didn't even hesitate." She started shaking her head. I thought you. You didn't think. You decided." She tried to cry. I could see her trying to get there. But the tears weren't ready yet. Not real ones, anyway. "I thought you were pulling away," she whispered. I nodded. "Because I was planning a surprise for our anniversary." She covered her face with her hands. That was the first crack in her. Not tears, just shame. Deep, settling shame. I didn't move. Didn't reach for her. "You could have asked me," I said. "You could have come to me. But instead, you chose to sleep with someone else. And you told yourself I earned that." "I'm sorry," she said, still muffled behind her hands. I didn't answer. I didn't know. I don't. That shut her up. Not in a cruel way. Just final. Like the closing of a door. "I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to fight. I'm just here to let you know that I know." I stood up, pulled my keys from my pocket, walked to the hallway closet, and grabbed the duffel bag I'd packed the night before. Not a dramatic exit. No suitcases lined up at the door. Just a quiet leave. She stood up, finally. "Where are you going?" "Away." "For how long?" I turned to her. "I don't know yet." She tried to reach for me. I stepped back. "Please. I made a mistake. We can talk about this." "No, we can't." "Why not?" "Because you already had the conversation. With him." That was the last thing I said before I left. The front door clicked shut behind me. I didn't hear her follow. Didn't look back. Just walked to my car and sat there for a while, letting the silence fill the space where her voice used to be. And you know what? It didn't hurt like I thought it would. It didn't feel like heartbreak. It felt like freedom. I thought I'd feel broken. Thought I'd be some kind of emotional wreck. driving around in circles with no idea where I was going, dramatic movie music playing in the background. But I wasn't. I left the house that night, pulled out of the driveway, and just drove. No music, no crying, no screaming into the steering wheel. I didn't even feel like punching anything. It was like I'd already done all my grieving while she was out there pretending everything was fine. I drove to a friend's place across town, someone I trusted, someone I knew wouldn't ask a million questions. He had a spare room, and when I texted him "you up?" at almost midnight, his response was just, "Doors open." Didn't even ask why. That first night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, waiting for the heartbreak to hit like a freight train. Waiting for the pain, the panic, the collapse. It never came. What came instead was relief. This quiet little moment of peace. No pretending, no guessing, no silent resentment boiling under the surface. Just space. Finally, the next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls. All from her. A couple voicemails. I didn't listen. Later that day, a long text came in, like a full-on emotional essay. It started with, "I can't believe you just walked out. Please talk to me. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I thought." It was the same stuff she said at the table. But now, written out, it felt even thinner. The apology wasn't about what she did. It was about me catching her. It wasn't, "I'm sorry I destroyed your trust." It was, "I'm sorry I thought you were cheating." There's a big difference between being sorry you hurt someone and being sorry you don't look like the good guy anymore. And the longer I was away from her, the more I started seeing it clearly. She didn't just break my heart. She rewrote our whole story in her head to justify doing it. I spent the next few days at my friend's place. I went to work, ate regular meals, slept fine surprisingly. I didn't ghost her, but I didn't respond either. She kept messaging, voice notes, texts, pictures of the anniversary letter I left behind in the drawer. She even took a photo of it laid out on the bed, like some kind of emotional Hail Mary. I didn't know this existed. I didn't know what you were planning. If I had seen this sooner. She was right about that part. She didn't know, but she could have asked. And that's what kept echoing in my head. She didn't even ask. She built a story, punished me for it, and kept going like we could reset the board after she got it out of her system. It doesn't work that way. A week passed. Then another. My friend asked if I was ready to talk about it. I told him the basics. He just shook his head and poured us both a drink. One afternoon, she called again. I let it go to voicemail, as usual. But this time I listened. Her voice cracked in the first few seconds. "I miss you. I miss us. I can't sleep. I keep seeing your face when I close my eyes. I can't eat. I hate myself for what I did." I believe some of that. But regret isn't the same thing as change. Missing me now doesn't erase the fact that she chose not to trust me when it mattered. That she thought revenge was easier than communication. That she looked me in the eye for weeks, smiling, laughing, touching me, while she was sleeping with someone else. Eventually, she stopped calling every day. It went to every couple of days. Then once a week. Then silence. But I knew it wasn't over. Not for her. She'd never get the closure she wanted. Because there was nothing left to close. I wasn't coming back. Not because I wanted to hurt her. Not because I needed her to suffer. But because I was finally seeing what life could look like when you don't have to live under suspicion, second-guessing, and emotional landmines. I was sleeping better. Breathing better. Even smiling at stupid things like gas station coffee and podcasts in traffic. And that's when it hit me. Sometimes the loudest thing you can do is walk away without slamming the door. No big speech. No emotional explosions. Just leave. Just be done. Because silence echoes longer than shouting ever could. I saw her again 2 months later. By then, I'd moved into a small apartment across town. Nothing fancy. 1 bedroom, tiny balcony, a kitchen that barely fit 2 people. But it was mine. Quiet, clean, peaceful. And more importantly, it had no ghosts. I was grabbing groceries when we ran into each other. I didn't even notice her at first. I was reaching for coffee filters in the aisle when I heard someone say my name like it physically hurt them to say it. I turned, and there she was. Hair tied back, no makeup, sweater hanging off one shoulder. She looked smaller, not in size, just in presence. Like someone who had been through a storm and hadn't quite dried off. She didn't smile, didn't try to fake a casual tone. She just said, "Hey." I nodded. Silence stretched between us for a second, and then she took a step closer. "I've been trying not to text you," she said. Didn't want to push. I didn't say anything. She nodded like she expected that. Then, quietly, I really messed up. That part I could agree with. She wasn't dramatic, wasn't begging. She just looked empty. I thought I knew what was happening, she said. I thought I was right. And by the time I realized I wasn't, it was already too late. She looked up at me then. And yeah, there were tears. Real ones. Not crocodile, not performative. Just raw. I miss you. That was the line. And a year ago, it would have broken me. It would have torn something wide open and made me want to fix things just so the pain would stop. But now it just felt like a sentence that didn't belong to me anymore. I took a slow breath and told her the truth. I miss the version of you I thought I was with. But I don't miss living in a house where trust had to be earned every day. I don't miss wondering what kind of story you were telling yourself to make it okay. She started crying harder, but I didn't move to comfort her. Not out of cruelty, just closure. She asked if I was seeing someone. I said no. She asked if I hated her. I said no. She asked if I'd ever consider trying again. And I said, no, I'm finally happy without you. That was the moment it landed. You could see it in her eyes. The reality settling in. The final nail. Not because I wanted her to suffer. Not because I needed to win. But because the truth, in the end, is heavier than any punishment. We said goodbye in that grocery aisle. No hugs. No long glances. Just a quiet ending. A few days later, she sent me one last message. It was just this. You were always good to me. I just didn't know how to handle it. I never replied. Because she was right. And because I didn't need to carry her guilt anymore. That was her weight. Not mine. Now, I'm better. Not perfect. Not healed in some magical way. Just lighter. I go on walks. I sleep through the night. I cook actual food. I don't flinch when my phone buzzes. I laugh more. And sometimes, late at night, I think about that hotel room. The one with the candles and the handwritten letter. I used to think that was the last moment I loved her. But the truth is, the moment I didn't respond to her last message, the moment I didn't need to, that's the first moment I really loved myself.